Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. My name's Senvo. I talk about video game music a lot, and you probably already know that, but you know, it is what it is. Today I wanted to compose for Freedom Planet. And you may be wondering, what's Freedom Planet? Well, it's a pretty simple concept, I guess. It's basically, what if Sonic the Hedgehog was more of a story-based experience with a little more combat focus than the original. And yeah, you get to go run around super fast and all kinds of stuff. The main thing though that's interesting is that you get to go around and fight robots and a looming threat of an evil alien and stuff like that. I guess the overall thing that draws me to the game per se is that it kind of has more of a story focus than anything, and I'm having fun with it. It's a little cringe sometimes, but you know, it is what it is. At least I attribute it to its strengths more than its weaknesses. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you just gotta get the heart of the cards, the power of friendship. You know what I mean? You gotta get the whole thing. Now, the game actually was developed by Sabrina Di Duro, and I did have to look at that name because it's a hard name. I'm sorry. And from what I can tell, the research that I've been doing, they've been working super hard on this, like insane levels of dedication that, you know, you probably can't get anywhere else. So I, for one, believe that this game needs some recognition. I know it's already got, you know, a pretty good cult following already, but I just want to, if I can, put more out there because, dude, this shit's great. Wonderful. Okay, anyways, so the game came out in 2014, which I don't know if you know this, but 2014 was kind of crazy for indie games. You had the competition of Five Nights at Freddy's, Shovel Knight, Transistor, Lethal League. Like the list goes on, but these are not slouch games, okay? And I believe Freedom Planet has earned its right to be up there with the rest of them. Just as engaging, just as cool, just as much passion and work went into them as well. So I suppose, you know, without further ado, I'm the music guy, so let's talk about some music. But before we can talk about music, we got to talk about the composers. So we got, at least as far as the first game is concerned, you got Sabrina Di Duro, also known as Strife back in the day, now known as Spacey Bat, who, if you catch them on stream or whatever. And then we have probably the main, what do you say, like a kingpin? The main composer, I would say, Leela Wilson, or Woofle, or no, sorry, not Woofle, Woofle. I have done a lot of research on these people, and Woofle is one of the ones that I definitely need to check more out on, and I have the most information on. The last but not least is Claire Bunn, Claire Ellis. Claire Bunn is what they go by now. Back in the day, they went by Blue Warrior, and before that, it was Cobalt Blue Warrior. I think they're working on, what's it called? The SRB2 stuff now. So take that for what you will. I'm going to start with Sabrina, because basically, well, actually, let me just explain how they broke down the process. Sabrina worked with Leela a lot. Like, they basically asked them to come work with them on Freedom Planet, and then had a bunch of stuff that they had written, because Sabrina is the main, they're the lead of the entire project. They are the programmer, they're, you know, they got the whole thing. They're the product manager. But on top of that, they're also one of the contributors to the music, and a large one at that, not just a a name thrown away here. They contributed many things, many melodies. I feel like a lot of the main melody lines were contributed by Sabrina, and then later given to Leela as like MIDI files and whatnot, and they shared in between each other the different things that they had come up with and what they needed for whatever stage or whatever, and then it all sort of culminated into what they have now. Claire Bunn did a lot of they did a couple of tracks for the game, but as time went on, they got too busy to be working on the game kind of full time or anything like that. So essentially, it's like maybe one or two tracks, and one of them is like a remix, I think. It's unfortunate because they're very talented, and I hope to see more of their work in other games and stuff up and coming. Anyways, so like I was saying, Sabrina and Leela worked really well together, and they sort of had this like where one had faults, the other had strengths, you know what I mean? And I feel like it sort of culminated into this perfect storm of events here. People say that the soundtrack is a little bit, what's the word? Like mismatched almost. But I think it was like an intentional decision to make things fit that particular moment instead of like having a proper building theme. Although in the second one, specifically, Leela wanted to make that a thing, and they did. So, and actually I'm still playing through too, so, but it's very good so far. I enjoy it a lot. I feel like it does everything that it really wanted to do in the first one, but didn't have time to do in the first one. Either way. So with that being said, most of the tracks came from a combination of Strife and Woofle working together to create what we have now. I think Claire essentially did the Dragon Valley theme 2, and they did a remix essentially, or a arrangement of Relic Maze 2. I think that's the extent. I don't remember if that's exactly true or not. However, it's okay. Like, you know, there's a lot of things about music in general, or like there's a lot of things about credits as being attributed to video games and whatnot, and how everybody's listed, and I feel like not a lot of people get the actual credit they deserve. So if there's anybody else involved in the making of this soundtrack and stuff, please let me know. I know that the guy who did the voice for Gong, which is like the panda guy, he also did some stuff, but I don't remember exactly. He did some sound effects stuff, I think, as well. I've done a lot of research, but it's not very well put together. Either way, I would say that, like, as far as like what this game's music sounds like is like, fortunately it's one of the games that I can play the music for, because I don't think it's been like copyright striked or anything like that. So you guys can hear some tracks here. So first I just want to give the impression of what I think this music is. And it's like that Sega Saturn / PlayStation 1 era with, you know, the strong melodies that, you know, Sabrina brings to the table. And then on top of that, like synthy stuff, a little synthy, get a little synthy in there. And then also just like that, you know, obviously like Chinese or, you know, Asian instruments that they throw in to make it aesthetic, and like it binds, it's like a glue binder, you know what I mean? It puts it all together. Without further ado, I'd like to take a listen to some tracks and see what we can learn from them, and then I will tell you what I've done and what I've extrapolated from those tracks that I can that I work with. Alright, we're back in the cool kids section. Get ready, because the cool kids section is bussin'. It's got a bunch of stuff going on. I made a melody, and then I just kept adding stuff to it. So it's kind of dense, but we'll break things down. Alright, in the drum pattern here, I'll just go down what instruments I have. A lot of these are really quiet, right? But the thing is that a lot of them are layered. So you'll notice that the snare drum is just essentially this, right? Every little tiny bit adds a little something, you know? Same thing with these two kick drums. This is just a hi-hat. You get the idea. There's bongos a lot in this song because I feel like a lot of the percussions were super strong. Not like strong as like they were like forward in the mix or anything, but like they were very like prominent throughout the orchestrations that they put together for the game. So there's a lot of different drum patterns here, actually. Quite a few. You can see all these blue ones are all the drum patterns and whatnot. But so earlier I played a song that had the melody in there. That's this melody, essentially. And what I did is I took that melody and I started playing it on piano and messing around and seeing if I could find something with that. Because at the end of the day, it's more focused, I suppose, on melody lines and like motifs than I can. Because Freedom Planet's OST is kind of like all over the place. To good effect. It's not like it doesn't match itself, but it also is just kind of tonally all over the place. So making something that sounds like Freedom Planet boils down to more or less using the motifs that they've already set up for themselves. So you got the intro theme, which is the doo 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 doo. You know, you got that, and then you got this theme, which I hear all the time as I'm playing Freedom Planet 2. I hear it everywhere. So I think it might be related to characters as well, but I'm not entirely sure. Either way, those are the two melodies I sort of incorporated. So when it first starts out, you got these strings popping off. When I heard these strings, this piano pattern or whatever, I immediately thought of what's that? I think it's Sonic Battle. So our Sonic inspirations are culminating here. We added a little bit of saw synth as a layer just to add some depth to it, but the strings get really weird. Like sometimes they're really quiet and sometimes they're really loud, and I have to fix it via this thing. The strings, I should have chose better strings in the first place because I had to like manually input some volumetric stuff going on here. So if you'll notice here, we'll just get all the strings singled out here. They kind of just hit you hard, and that was not what I wanted. And the thing is whenever you use a ZYN add sub effects, you can't use LFOs through this, which is super annoying. And then you got to open the GUI, and it's stupid. I hate it. But anyways, it's not the point. The point is I should have chose better strings. I will be doing so in the future. That's not the point. Basically, my workaround was to control the volume itself like that. Okay, let's get into the actual sounds of what I put down here. So we got another drum element, just a scratch with a dude saying excite, but it's like way at the top. Excite. Sonic CD's riser. Okay. Okay. So there's a lot of things going on here. And I'm going to try and explain them as quickly as I can so that we can move on so you can actually hear the song and whatnot. Also, whenever my computer decides to cooperate with me. Okay, anyways. So right here, there's like a drop. Right, but I took this, I took that ending of it and sort of did its own thing, chopped it. I played some guitar over this. Like, I just recorded myself playing guitar and added it on because I thought it sounded nice, but maybe it's too much, I don't know. You guys tell me. This isn't the first time I've used this flute trill. I extracted it essentially from Otogi, Myth of Demons, which is a very ethnically based musical experience. If you haven't heard it, I highly suggest it. It's one of the most unique soundtracks I've ever heard. I got some scratch going on here. I forget what this is. Oh, it's this weird, like, I think it's a sound from Cosmic Carnage, but the way that it plays, it sort of goes back and forth between this. And the LFO makes it go so it comes up and then it comes down pretty much instantly. So it's kind of like a symbol of weirdness. Okay. So here we have, this is probably the most unique sound in the whole track. It's kind of ear candy for the background. It comes through after the drop and whatnot, and the drop kind of like goes into something chill. You'll see it whenever you hear it, but then I got this bass. And the bass eventually picks up and starts getting a little crazy. But I've layered the bass, so if I go ahead and take all of these, put these together. So it's a vibe, you know, it's a funky riff. I wrote that on piano for full transparency. The coda actually came recorded from the piano, but it's supposed to be me playing it, right? Like, but I just ended up using the first part of the sample, that first strum, and then just placed the notes that way because it worked out better. The timing was better. Like, I'm all for human timings if it makes sense. If you're putting it on instruments that make sense. On this bass, I did not want it to be swung. I did not want it to feel loose or anything. I wanted it to be tight and hit responsively. So that's essentially what happened. What else? Oh yeah. So the string chops, right? There's a different variation of the string chops. This was the original one, which is more clear. But now we got one that has this effect on it, okay? So allow me to try and explain. It has an equalizer on it, okay? That is essentially banded off everything. And it moves both the high-end frequency and the low-end frequency. So it's just like a peak, right? So you'll see whenever it plays. Anyways, you'll see whenever it plays, this will move around. See, it just moves this entire peak somewhere else, and gives it like an entirely different kind of sound. And I think it adds a lot of like weirdness, but also kind of future tech to it. The rest is just like me talking about melody and stuff. There's a break where it goes into the title theme melody, or I guess Lilac's theme. I don't really know if that's true or not, but and then on top of that, I tried to make it loop, but it's not my best loop, but it works. I'm kind of running out of time, to be honest with you. I'm running out of time to do the video, but regardless, that's pretty much everything. Okay, anyways, let's get into it. I'll show you guys the rest of the song. Hey everybody, and welcome to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it to this part, I appreciate you immensely. In the future, I definitely want to do more orchestral and like advanced composition like this. I'll say mine didn't really turn out the way I had imagined it would turn out, and that's not for lack of trying. It's just, you know, lack of experience of making music the way that Leela does. They're very orchestral. They're very like mood, you know, and I think they get a lot of that from their time playing like RPGs and getting those RPG melodies stuck in your brain forever, as we all do. But either way, I definitely need to take a crack at just getting way more focused in and probably go towards that, because I feel like it'll help a lot in my own compositions. I have a hard time like transitioning and going into a new spot, or like just chord changes, you know, typical stuff. I'm like an EDM artist, you know what I mean? Like I like stuff that hits you and it just keeps on coming. So less about the moody and less actually it is involving horror, because I love making moody horror music. But anyways, we'll get into that you know, later in the year and whatnot. For now, I just want to thank you all for watching, and if you want to see more like this, then check out my channel. And if you want to support me in some kind of way or anything like that, I have a couple of links in the description below that you can check out if you like. Other than that, have a good one. Appreciate it. Later.